Perfect, I finally came in. Welcome to session 5 of Transformative Grant Writing. It's a pleasure to be with you today. And we're gonna set the arena. We're gonna start setting the arena today. Right now, who am I willing to be in order to produce an extraordinary result out of this interaction? I am willing to be enthusiastic, flexible, focused, open, and supportive. And I'm gonna start by going to Julia.
All right, I'm willing to be appreciative, creative, enthusiastic, focused, and joyous. And let's go to Carla.
I'm willing to be receptive, flexible, enthusiastic, attentive, and grateful. And I'm gonna go to Kaya.
I'm willing to be receptive, supportive, open, focused, and creative. I'm gonna go to Jessie.
I am willing to be alert, courageous, focused, supportive, and truthful. And I'm gonna go with Jess.
I am willing to be empowering, compassionate, truthful, open, and creative. And I will go with Adrian.
Willing to be empowering, clear, truthful, appreciative, and grateful. Alexandra.
I'm willing to be appreciative, enthusiastic, focused, generous, and present. Sera.
I am willing to be attentive, loving, open, truthful, and kind. And Shauna.
I'm willing to be compassionate, flexible, gentle, loving, and supportive. Juan Manuel.
I'm willing to be receptive, supportive, creative, flexible, and open. Who's missing? Therese?
You're muted.
I'm willing to be empowering, enthusiastic, open, present, and supportive. Eli.
Thank you. I am willing to be appreciative, attentive, focused, flexible, and supportive. I think that's
it.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, take a moment, think about your day ahead. Think about the structures of knowing that you're holding about your day. And I ask you, am I willing to systematically dismantle my structure of knowing? Yes.
Yes.
Yes hands. Am I willing to be a demand for coaching?
Yes.
Yes hands. Am I willing?
Yes.
Kaya with a little extra support today. Am I willing to guarantee that whoever coaches me will be successful? Yes.
Yes.
Nice. Welcome everybody to the arena. We did it. We made it. We're here together. And today we're gonna just have so many cool things. But why don't you refresh us, Mom?
What's your name? What's her name? Momo.
Sorry.
Can you bring up the slides there, Mono? Can you bring up the slides?
Absolutely.
So we have an action-packed day today. I'm pretty excited about it. All right, here we go. Program goals. Love you too, Sera. To file a competitive application for the International Arts Fellowship with the California Arts Council, to develop your grant writing skills, provide a deep understanding on the funding and development ecosystem in the arts, to support you in getting clarity of your artistic practice and the specific project you will be working on.
Perfecto. Today's goals. Go for it, Therese.
Sure. We've got some show and tell. Jess, Alexandra, Juan Manuel, and Sera are going to be sharing a little bit about their art practice. We're going to do a check-in around the quick grants and a check-in and review of the personal impacts. I'm going to explore the layers of community impact. Definitely want to recommend that you grab something to write on. And also we are going to gain clarity for framing the social impact of your practice and your project. And we have a lovely addition with the Q&A with Lucia, who is going to just break it down and be available for how to like navigate what it is that you're up to and stating it around your community impact. They have some amazing insights.
Perfecto. Yes. Okay, so why don't we just start with the show and tell, please?
Yes.
We have a few of you who volunteered to jump in today's session and just share about your arts practice. So why don't we just start?
We're going to start with Jess. It's going to be organized. It's going to be Jess, Alexandra, Juan, and then Sera.
All right, Jess.
So
please.
Jess, take us to your world.
Hello, everyone. I am grateful to be here today and in the space with you all. My name is Jess, and I'm a multidisciplinary artist who really loves metal. I love working in bronze. I love working with wax and creating natural forms and creating 3D physical objects. And my other passion as an artist is working in education and empowerment. I work at SF Made as a workforce and youth program coordinator, and my life has been deeply impacted by public education, access to it, access to trades, vocational courses. And now I am emerging as an artist and tying a lot of social justice work and community organizing into it. I don't know what, I'm just gonna show you a couple pieces, but sorry, it's on my phone. I had to go through my old phone to get it, and hopefully I can share it with you.
We can do two things. You can just show us in the camera of your computer, show us your phone.
Oh yes, okay, I'll just show my phone because that's way quicker, sorry.
No, it's fine. I mean, we can also, let you come into the session through your phone and share. It's up to you. All right.
So this is a bronze tiger head that I made because I feel like women are badass, and like the tiger is representative of a lot of Asian women, and just fierceness and protection, and it was such a feat to do lost wax casting on such a large piece, but also, anyway, it's also an end cap of a chair. So it's going to eventually be, if I didn't have a seat at the table and I had to have a seat at the table, what would my chair look like? And if I could build a large enough table for all the inclusive people that were not allowed, how can I create this space, hold space, nurture space for other people like-minded to do things in their community? And I am very tied to public education because I learned how to do lost wax casting and welding and a machine shop at City College. And so I started an online digital advocacy group, and anyone can join if you're interested, to help advocate for public education. And anyway, so I do like metal arts, And I do also social justice word art. I do digital fabrication as well. So I love playing with tools. But also in my day job, I get to empower people with those skills in order to get a career with benefits and help rejuvenate the local economies of, you know, my hometown for the last 10 years, San Francisco, and then the place where I was born and raised in San Jose. Okay, so.
Thank you.
Yay, that's about it.
Thank you, Jessie. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we get some comments in the chat and some jazz hands in the thing, or some lightning? I just learned that one. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jess.
We got Alexandra up next.
Órale.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, everybody. So grateful to be here with you. Okay, so I'm a performance artist. I'm a composer, and I'm a space and event organizer from Puerto Rico. I've been working here in the Bay Area since 2007, when I moved to do a master's for music composition at Mills College. And since then, I've been performing and recording and creating spaces and stages within the experimental electronic music and underground Oakland music underground communities here. I ran a few spaces here, one called Life Changing Ministry, where we used to do experimental music shows with a focus on people of color and queer trans communities. I also live in Puerto Rico part-time, so I'm also involved there with like the queer outsider art and underground music communities. I think it's very important for me to keep working there because, as you probably know, Puerto Rico is like double colonized country, currently colonized by the US. And that is seen in the way that we make music, that is reflected in the way we live. And so I think it's really important to radicalize art and music there, because I feel like that helps people's minds kind of open up to just kind of awaken from what's going on and fight, fight for our country and for our rights. Right now I think my most interesting project is called Las Sucias, which is I've put out a couple of records for on a tape. Traveled to Norway. We were supposed to play in Oaxaca, Mexico, but in March, but that, because of the pandemic, got canceled. So we've been traveling the world and recording, and we played the San Francisco Electronic Music Festival 2017, and we've had a few articles written. We had both of our records be top in East Bay Express, were like the best top 1 and top 3 records for a couple of years.
Wow.
And then Las Sucias is an experimental reggaeton, like riot girl, feminist noise duo. My partner's from Venezuela. So we have this kind of Caribbean experimental noise thing, and we're trying to change the dynamic, the dynamics of like how women are treated in reggaeton and dancehall music, and take back the noise as women, as queer women, and like decolonize the experimental music and experimental electronic music that's like mainly white dudes. So, trying to change that.
Amazing.
Any chance we could hear a little snippet of your music?
Yeah, how could I do that? If I I could just play it on my phone. Really.
I can also give you a chance to share things. There you go. If you want, it's up to you.
Can I just go to? I guess we could just go to our Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Take us to your Bandcamp.
Take us to your Bandcamp.
La Suciería. Wait, La Suciería.
And Carla wants to know where you stream your music.
Yeah. I have a few projects that I do. This one, Las Sucias, you can find it on Bandcamp or SoundCloud. I don't do we don't do Spotify or other.
I have a quick question for you, Alex. Do you not do Spotify and other like larger distribution platforms because you haven't found like kind of like how to do it, or because like your project is like better taken in other platforms?
Yeah, it's because Spotify doesn't treat the artists well. They don't pay fairly, so we don't support that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, we're tempted all the time. We might, but we haven't. We've been fine with Bandcamp. So should I just go share screen and?
Yeah, you can just go
share
share
audio.
screen. You go share screen, and then underneath there are two boxes. One is share sound and optimize for video clip. You only click on the share sound box, and then you go share.
Okay, I'm
There you
sharing.
go.
You hear that? Yeah, that's like our spooky, gothy, distorted reggaeton. I'm gonna skip it a little bit to get to some words. A little bit. Okay, so that's it. It's noisy and so pushing boundaries and making people a little bit uncomfortable because that's always my mission with art, to push things.
Wow.
So.
Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you so much. Are you familiar with modular music?
Like modular synth music?
Yes.
I show you my gear.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my gear. So I use a lot of like drum machine. Yeah, me and my friend produce the beats, and then we write the lyrics, and we improvise a lot of it too. So we make beats live. We're connected with each other, or we'll pre-produce beats beforehand, and then we'll improvise lyrics on top.
All right. I can imagine some of your music being kind of like a component for an exhibition, right? For like art on the walls or like moving art. Actually, maybe for some of the work that Shauna does, that like I feel like it would be, like it could potentially match very well. What? Just an idea.
I was just texting her right now.
Huh?
I was just texting her right now exactly about that.
Oh, really?
I haven't finished my sentence, and there you are.
Yes. Oh my God. That would be super cool. Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much. Un aplauso para
Thanks
Alex.
for listening.
Everybody, manitas.
Thank you.
Jazz manitas.
Thank you.
Now we have Juan Manuel.
Hello. Arturo, maybe you can help me with this one instead of like me sharing the screen. I share a presentation with my work samples. I think that might be a little.
I can fetch it for you right now.
Thanks.
Oh, nice. Okay, I got it. Ta-da.
Hello, everyone. My name is Juan Manuel Carmona. I'm a Mexican-American artist. As you guys know, I've been living in this city for 10 years. And what I do, it's basically public art, murals. And I like to paint with a purpose. Excuse me. To basically have something to say that is meaningful besides just something pretty. And this mural, this is the first one that I did on the street. And that's basically what started all of this street art for me. I tried to do this as something, thank you, very political. This is 2017, and I don't know if you guys remember, but Trump had just become president, and he was trying to take away rights from trans people and just all these like same-sex marriage stuff. And I felt this very personal. You know, part of me was like moving to the United States. I actually, I'm a citizen. I was born in Texas, but in 2013, when this became same-sex became for everyone legal, I was one of those who got married. So I gave a citizenship to somebody who was white. I thought it was very romantic. He's Irish, and I felt threatened. I felt this was a very personal situation for me too. So painting this and trying to protect the LGBT flag, well, that's what this Juanita Moore, she's a good friend of mine and an activist in San Francisco. I thought it was a really cool way of giving back, and it helped me connect with the community in a lot of ways. A lot of people became like very, you can see in the second picture how it's just, it became a symbol for the Castro and not just, you know, for like the Castro, but also LGBTQ, the entire San Francisco. People come and take pictures all over, and it created all these social media stuff. I like to put the address. I am a little nerd this way. My work is public, and I would like people, whenever they see this, to start like Googling where it is. So I put the address there. I still need to put a little symbol of that's the location. But Arturo, if you could go to the next slide, please. This was my second work sample. In 2019, we painted this mural. It's a company owned by women, and they try to work and fight for empowering women. So the hashtag and their logo and theme and whatever, it's a girl calls the shots, because it's usually guys who call the shots. So this is what they wanted to have. And again, empowering women. I wanted to talk about free love. That's also why I tried to paint with rainbows. And we wanted to talk also about, it was the 50th anniversary of the first gay parade, the Pride Parade and Stonewalls. So this was also a mural that was trying to raise funds for the GLBT Historical Society. I still believe we need a space for like a gay LGBT queer museum in the city. I think San Francisco has a very historical importance in this movement. And the Painted Ladies, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this part of San Francisco. It gets tourists 24/7. So people are constantly photographing this and going to visit these famous houses. So I feel it was important for people to see rainbows every time they take this picture. And yeah, so that was my next big project. If we could go to the next, yeah, thank you. This was last year, El Rio. This is by far the biggest project I've ever painted. This is on Mission Street. And this was another really cool story. Before I became a muralist, I was living in San Francisco, and I used to go to school and work in a bar. And in 2012 or something, 13 maybe, Meta was helping Latinos with their taxes. So that's how I actually got to know them. They did my taxes 8 or 9 years ago. And when I got asked to work with them in this project, I felt like I was giving something back. I was like, hey, you guys helped me 8 years ago. So I remember this. And this is a really cool project because they're trying to keep Latinos in the Latino district. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this part, but thank you. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this part of the city, but it's becoming very gentrified. So the idea of trying to work with Latinos to stay here, I'm Mexican American. I love my two countries. This used to be Mexico. So I felt like I was, again, it's just part of like what I'm doing. And then there's also El Rio. I've been there. I hope some of you guys have been there for a party. It's a lot of fun. And it also felt like, like I want to help these guys too. And we painted this mural, I think it was September 2020. And we tried to talk about all these ethnic backgrounds within the Latino community and diversity. Let's say, why is there a blonde, blue-eyed cowboy in Argentina? Or why are there Japanese influences in Peruvian cuisine? Or I also wanted to have one of the first profiles to be, you can tell she's a Mayan descendant, but the nose and the thank you. Yes, me too. Your work's awesome. Thank you, Adrian. I wanted to talk about having these ethnic backgrounds and still all of those being Latinos, or the same, having pupusas selling or cochinita pibil selling in the middle of San Francisco. I think that's part of what makes the Latino community in the United States so rich, and that's what this project is about. And this is my other project. I don't know if you guys know, but I went to school here in San Francisco. I actually went for animation and visual effects. I took some painting classes. I'm not a complete, fully trained painter. I like to paint, and I was good at it. But I went to school for digital sculpture, 3D modeling, and I did my thesis in 3D printing. And I like working with metal too, Jess. But I think you're better than me. But I love to talk about metalwork. And this project is about 3D printing, and then this ceramic company in Mexico that also employs or tries to empower single moms. It's a very Catholic, conservative town. And this guy, the manager, who's a friend now, we've been working for years, he brings ice cream, he brings childcare, and he helps these women that otherwise could not have a job. And it's a really cool story. And we do these ceramic pieces with them. And I've been working on this for 4 or 5 years now. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh yeah, and I left this one just to share something with you. This first mural and also this image, this is precisely why it defined, and it happened after I started painting, but it defined what I want to do. Well, it says there, but I grew up in a world where I couldn't paint, I couldn't play with Barbies because my mother would not allow. And when I saw this kid, this boy in the same position as Juanita in this mural, and the mother celebrating this, she actually took a picture and was encouraging to be this fabulous kid. And she posted on social media. To me, it made the difference. I was like, this is precisely why I'm working. I want, yeah. So this, I think that that's pretty much what I do. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Juan Manuel. So, I every time that I see your work is like, wow, this is pretty awesome. So, thank you so much for sharing. We have one last person today, which is Sera. You ready?
Yes. All right.
All right. Go for it.
So, man, how do I go after Juan Manuel? That's not fair.
We should have put it at the end, right?
Why am I closing? This is the part where everyone's gone home. Hit play, everyone's left.
You're gonna have to sing or something, Sera. So.
Oh, yeah, let's make it worse. All right. Well, I am a artist. I like to call myself an artist more than anything else, just because if anything, I prefer telling stories through different mediums of art. But technically, I am an animator and a visual effects artist, and I dabble in writing and directing. And so for over the past 14 years, I've been doing motion graphics and visual effects in post-production for TV and films. If you've ever seen any one of those big action films like Resident Evil or something, I did several of those Resident Evil graphics. But my heart really lies in working with my community. And so I grew up in South Central, and I was a community activist since I was like a teenager. So I've always been very much involved in using all the resources that I have as a person who works in post-production, to like help the community create narratives that connect them, and bring resources to them in a more modern way, if anything. So I do a lot of like videos, and I was telling Therese this week when we were chatting that we just wrapped up a project with the LA City Council for housing in communities of color, and it's called Stay House LA. And what that program does, it connected with local organizations so that they can provide workshops for people in the community, and how to stay housed so they don't lose their apartment, so they don't get evicted. And it was a urgent matter because of the whole situation with quarantine and people not being able to keep or sustain their jobs. And so I can show you guys a little bit of that video because it's a lot longer than I remembered. But yeah, so I'll show you guys that, and then I can show you a little bit of a short film that I'm working on, which is like an animatic, and maybe my reel if we have time. But just like a little bit.
Go for it.
Yeah. So let me see where. Yeah, okay.
Do you have sound in this?
Oh yeah. Is it not playing?
It's not playing. So just close it. Close the sharing screen. Now go to screen share again. And then you're gonna get two boxes underneath. One says share sound, and other says optimize for clip for video. Sharing.
Okay. Yeah, I see.
Okay.
All right.
You have like another 3 minutes to share.
All right.
You.
Can you hear it?
I've been with CBE for 4 years, and I've lived in Southgate all my life. There's all these restrictions, and so that's when I started in high school. I found this organization, which is CBE, and helped me ready to fight against the companies that are doing wrong towards the community. When I started getting more involved and going to city meetings.
So let me see. Yeah, so this is the program. And then
sure that they won't get into any trouble financially or anything like that if they follow the rule. Not follow the rule, but they follow policies.
Yeah, and then you just
amazing graphics. You do the graphics?
I do the graphics.
Wow.
Pretty
cool.
Yeah, I did the graphics, the editing, and the audio. Yeah, and so that's that one. Okay, yeah, so that was like the most recent thing that I did, and then they just have that, they play that wherever, and so yeah, so it's something like just like very simple that I can contribute, and I'm always like I'm always trying to outreach whoever needs like any help to do anything that's like that's like editing or video, or just even like the most simplest things that you think, oh, I'll do like a slide or I'll do like a PDF. I'm like, let me make like a reel for you, and I promise you it'll like just elevate whatever you're presenting just a little bit more. So I love like focusing on things like that, and I'll share with you guys my design reel, just a little clip. Can you guys see anything?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Wow.
I also like very experimental music, and I did my own little shitty sound mix with like a track that I like, and like clips from Rod Serling from the Twilight Zone.
Okay. No, this is pretty good. Wow. Those textures.
Yeah, like I love working with things that are very textured and
Yeah.
layered.
Wow. Oh my. Okay, this is some work. What software do you use for the graphics, sir?
I use mostly After Effects and sometimes Adobe Animate.
My God.
So that's a film that I worked on.
So, you know, one of the
Watch
things.
that on Amazon.
You know, what this is really making me think of is, you know, like as maybe a piece of advice is, I was talking to a couple of folks here this week, and how to present their.
Can you hold on for a second, Arturo?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. Un aplauso, por favor. Yeah, so I was going to say, when you are presenting this as your work sample, try to have a little description of the things that you did for the production, right? Because I can see that you took some video, you know, you took some shots. Also photos. Also, I'm sure that for some of these effects, you did some sort of like like mix of analog and digital magic. You know, like I have good friends who do post production, and they all have like, oh, let me just shoot you know, like water, like a puddle of water, and then from this puddle of water, I'm just gonna overpose it, like just, you know, like just make it into an effect, right? So make sure that you describe some of that in your work sample, so that they not only see it, right, but for people who, particularly for people who's not as well versed in your medium, they will not know that you went to such large extents to create this quality of content, right?
Yeah.
So it's always beneficial to say, oh, for this reel, we did, you know, like 4, 5, 6 things that you can list very succinctly, that they can say, oh, I see where, you know, she burned, you know, she took capture fire to bring it into the After Effects, and then make this happen, right?
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I'm putting that all together.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Congratulations, and thank you so much, and thank you everybody. We hope to have time next week to complete our you know, call for everybody to share their work. Please, 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 please reach out to each other personally. This is an amazing opportunity for us to start, you know, a collaborative space where we can all contribute, right? Last week's grand panel review for the San Francisco Arts Commission, we only had one of our the artists who participated before go in front of the panel. Well, no, that's not true. But one of them got really, like, I think like 96 or 97 points in their grant, and it is likely that they will be getting funding. So the next step is, because this is a collaborative effort that she's putting together, now she's going to reach out to other artists, right? And when you look around, when you look at the people, the pool of people who could potentially collaborate with you, you know, you already have people who's doing, you already have people who's doing, you know, graphics, who's doing curation, who's doing sound, who's doing all of these practices. So the next time that you need something, you know that you can call on someone in this group of people that you are getting to know, and then we can create bigger, better things together, right? That is the spirit at the core of Arts Collab. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing your genius and your talent with us. It's amazing. And with that, we're gonna go to the next thing. We're actually going to, let's see. Let's just touch upon writing your personal impact. We're gonna take a little less time because we're about to welcome our Donatello, the chinchilla. Nice. We're gonna take less time. We're gonna take a couple moments to just review your personal impact. How was it for you to write it this week? How was, you know, the process of understanding it? Are you clear? Are you not clear? So I would love to ask you to
pass the mic.
Please, take it on.
All right. So if you could put 3 or 4 words in the chat to describe what it was like to create your personal impact. An example would be the personal impact is that you'd be able to create more work to survive and to thrive. So just three words in the chat of what personal impact this grant will have on you. In my case, create, survive, and thrive. What would be the impact for you? And we'd love to have 2 volunteers tell us what it was like to write about the personal impact.
Yeah.
Any volunteers? Can I get a volunteer?
Kaya?
Yeah, so I'm still working on my personal impact, and basically what I'm trying to get at is that I'm doing the most I can with like limited resource. So imagine what I could do with like expanded resources and support, essentially.
Great. Did you have any questions regarding the difference between, I mean, I know that we worked on this on our coaching session, but you want to share a little bit about like the difference between the personal, the artistic, the professional?
Yeah, it's just like for me personally, if I was given more funds, it could, like I would be able to expand the scope of my work. So it could like not only reach more people, but it could be involved with like more community oriented things, which I guess goes into the community impact essentially.
Okay. That's pretty clear actually. That's pretty clear. Anyone else who would like to share a little bit what was your experience writing your personal impact? Do you have any questions about it? Do you is it clear? Was it clear our explanation last week? This is mainly so that you get a better sense of you know, like if you have any questions, if you have anything that came up and you would like to fine-tune your own answer that's why we're holding this space. So tell us a little bit of your experience.
We have some folks that are dropping stuff in the chat. Jess said the personal impact that this would have on her is that she'd be able to create more, learn. Help it support his confidence and voice. What about you, Arturo?
What about me?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
What impact could have?
That's a great question. Personally, I would invest all of this in creating better platforms to communicate with the networks of artists that we are putting together. Artistically, just having clear communication would allow me to reach out a bigger audience and to be able to collaborate and contribute to all of them. And professionally, I think that it would solidify the work that we are doing on cultural equity with communities across California. So that's my that's my answer. Final answer.
You know, the thing that I just noticed about this exercise is I recommend that everybody do it, whether you do it at home, just write down a few words. It's like improve, empower, create. You know, if you're having a monkey mind moment, you can just come back to where are you making art? Improve, empower, create. Create, learn, empower. Create, survive, thrive. You know, just like something that you can just point your brain to as to what the impact's going to be or what you're getting out of your art practice. When you can just bullet it into 3 things, it gives your brain something to hang on to and to focus on. That's a very simple thing to point to if you need some extra support around what you're up to. I love Julia's create, learn, and serve. Can we get a few more folks to pop some stuff into the chat?
I love this 3-word concept, by the way.
One thing I was thinking a lot is like when it comes to personal, is how does personal affect all of us? The idea of helping others helps me personally. I was thinking a lot about that and how that affects my work, how it becomes personal and universal at the same time, and also how this project would help me by helping others. I know it's kind of like a give and take.
Yeah, just to go back to the guidelines that we were providing for you last week. The personal is basically how would this money support you in your life, in your financial life, right? Artistically, what is the work that you are going to be able to do with this? Not only the money, remember, money is one of the energies that you get with this grant, but also with the network opportunities, with the promotion, with the platform, with everything that comes along with getting this grant or this fellowship. So artistically, what is your practice going to look like, right? Your personal craft, how is it going to be better due to these funds? And finally, professionally, which is my practice is present in a larger context, in a community, right? So what is the impact, the larger impact to the collaborations that I can create, the spaces that I would have access to thanks to the work that the new work that I'm creating, et cetera, et cetera. So just to have that in mind, to keep that in mind. And with that, I am going to welcome our special guest speaker today, a very, very good friend of mine, my sister, and just like my inspiration for so many things, Lucia Obregon, who's right here joining us on her Saturday. So thank you for that. Lucia is a queer immigrant from Guatemala. She immigrated to the United States with her mother at the age of 11. She was recently appointed as commissioner for the Immigrant Rights Commission of San Francisco, which is an amazing opportunity that we here in San Francisco, we have people as committed and as knowledgeable on cultural equity as she is to be in that place, have a seat on the table. She's a well-known community organizing in the Mission District of San Francisco. Amongst some other things, I'm going to read a couple of the things that the hats that she wears. She's the Community Leadership Development Program Manager at MEDA. Juan Manuel was talking about collaborating with MEDA. Lucia works at MEDA. That's actually how I met her. And basically the work that she does is she runs this program of community leadership development, right? So this is very, very important. She's an events and production manager at La Diaspora Festival. you know the Diaspora Festival from every time that I talk about it. And so she's also a community organizer with The Plug, which focuses on Black liberation and indigenous sovereignty. Thank you so much, Lucia. Gracias. And the reason that we invited her is because right now we're gonna, wow, look at that animation, huh? Gonna make you spin, huh? I didn't know that we had that prepared, but thank you so much, Therese. The reason that we're gonna talk about, shall we do the break right now, Therese, or should we just go into our next let's just get into it, right? How are you guys doing? Do you need a bio break? Do you guys need a bio break? Give me Jess hints if you need a bio break. I think we're good. You want to go, Jesse? You want to take a bio break? Yeah.
The advantage of taking a break is
yeah, okay, let's take 2 minutes. Let's just make this official. Let's take 2 minutes. Go get a glass of water. We're gonna have an amazing, couple of 20 solid minutes after this. So take 2 minutes, go to the bathroom, stretch, get some water. I am going to get some water. How about that? There you go. Okay, I'm gonna play some music. When the music ends, you shall be here. You shall be back here. Okay.
You want to unshare your screen, hermano?
Así es. Continue to play some music.
See you at 42?
Yes, 142. Okay.
Has a lot of layers, right? It has the people, right? Who are our community members? What do they look like? What do they do? Are they artists? Are they working class, right? What does our community look like, right? Who are they? What do they do? What do they like? How do they express themselves, right? That's part of an ecosystem. And the other layer of the ecosystem then is what makes that community thrive, right? For example, transportation is part of an ecosystem, right? Food access is part of an ecosystem. The businesses that serve that community, right? Are they family serving? In other words, can a family afford, right, to go to a restaurant, to go to that store? Or is it just meant for, gentrifiers, right? People who make a lot of money, right? Those are the things that every single piece of a community plays a role. Right. So when we're talking about stakeholders and we're thinking about stakeholders, we're thinking about what are the roles that people play within an ecosystem, right? And how does that and how does that impact your project, right? So when we're talking about community, right, our community impact and who are our stakeholders, I want you to think about arts and culture, and I want you to think about your project specifically as a service, right? So in other words, what is the service that you're providing to your community, right? And who is that community that you will be serving, right? And so thinking about it in those terms, right? And so I operate a lot in what's called result-based accountability or result-based facilitation, right? In other words, what are actionable things and how can we measure, those things. So when we talk about community, it's the what are we doing and the how much, right? So, and then how are we engaging our community members, right? So who is that? Is it artists? Is it youth? Is it other kids? Is there other community members, right? Is it business owners? Is it, you know, any other community member or that will benefit from this service that you're essentially providing, right? And then when we talk about social impact, right, that's when we're talking about, did something change as a result of this service? In other words, that measure, because this concept of are people better off is actually an evaluation measure. In other words, did a disparity get addressed? Did a behavior change, right? If I attended a performance, am I better off for it, or did I just attend the performance, right? And that's the how much. That's how you can differentiate the how much versus the better off, right? I attended your program, okay, so that's one, your performance, let's say, that's one person, right, that you were able to engage, and that's community impact. But did I leave with something else, right? And that's the better off, and that's the social impact. Did I leave with a new perspective? Did I leave with a new idea? Did I leave thinking, oh, you know what, I need to do this differently? And that's the social impact, right? That's the better off measure that we're trying to get at. And so when we're trying to talk about equity, right, we got to think about how is art and culture used to define communities and help establish protections over the most vulnerable population within our ecosystem, right? And that's what equity is getting at, right? Can the most vulnerable population thrive within an ecosystem, right? For example, if we're looking at San Francisco, and it used to be a staple for artists, right? And if we're saying that if artists can't afford housing, if artists can't stay in San Francisco, then we're not really achieving equity, right? Because those are our vulnerable populations. And if they're not, and if we're seeing that within a sick ecosystem that they are not able to get their basic needs met, let alone thrive, then there's something within our ecosystem, right, that is not working. And so, yeah, I kind of want to stop it there, right? So it's kind of like those two concepts. I feel like I've said a lot, and so maybe we can open up some questions about the better off, the community impact versus social impact, and the better off measurements.
Thank you so much, Lucia. Yeah, man, I have questions, but please, if you guys have anything, like, do you have clarity on how your practice is providing a service for your community, for the community that you're centering?
I can also help you think through that if you don't know.
Does the community always have to be in the same place? Let's say if it's Mission, but it could also be somewhere else. Or does the community also has to be geographically based?
That's a good question. No, it does not have to be geographically based. We can talk about, for example, the immigrant population of all of California, right? And then the ecosystem would be California, right? And so, and what are the services, right, that help that population meet their basic needs and thrive?
Yeah. Remember that you will create a community within every one of your intersections, right? You can say, I'm an immigrant, I'm a person of color, I'm a woman, I'm a, part of the LGBTQ community, et cetera, et cetera. Each one of them would be a specific community. And we're part of many, and it's just the matter of who are you naming, right? Like, who are you identifying with, particularly for your brand?
I don't think that I'm having a hard time figuring out whether I serve several different communities in different aspects, and whether I should try to narrow it down or try to keep it broad. That's my question. I mean,
Yeah.
I perform music and I teach music, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that, so community can be everyone, right? And we, you know, in that sense, it could be as broad as you want it to be, right? But when we're talking about an equity framework, right, it's about prioritizing, right? Who are you serving, right? So in other words, when we are talking about the better, so I think defining the better off first would help you really then think about who then is that community that you want to target.
And just to complement that question, to add a little bit to that question, I think that you want to look at, you are serving different communities, right? But some of these services that you're providing are more urgent than others, right? Like transmitting culture or holding space for others who are, you know, similarly a cultural bearer, right? Like we have talked about this concept of being a cultural bearer. You bring the community, you hold a container, you create a container for the community to become, learn, enjoy, etc., etc. So what is the more emergent community that you're serving with everything that you're doing, right? And this is not, you know, this is not objective. This can be subjective, but it matters on how you're going to build the narrative. So the better way to build a stronger narrative is for you to really look honestly, what is the thing that you consider to be the most urgent, because that is what you're going to be able to articulate better, because it's the truth. Okay.
Yeah, I would look at your, you know, sometimes we have to work, you know, like backwards. So I would look at, you know, what is that social impact that you want to have first, and then work your way backwards into, well, then who is that community, right? That's gonna benefit from that social impact.
I would love to have some time with you if you wouldn't mind taking some time to just maybe work backwards with me, if you're open to that.
We can look into that. Yeah.
You help me with that, Arturo?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool.
So I was sorry, I send you please questions. Kelly.
Well, actually, I want to.
You want to say something first?
Go ahead, Kelly.
Okay. I guess like one of my questions is, I also missed a little bit, sorry y'all. But what I'm catching on is basically, I like that idea of like, how do you work backwards? So like identifying what your social impact is, and then going into like, then you're identifying the community. My question's kind of around like, how specific would we get? So for example, like, I feel like my art, I'm trying to cater towards like almost two different communities, which is like the communities who can maybe afford like a larger price ticket on my offerings, versus like the communities that I would want to, like, I'm funding to provide them a scholarship to be in my workshops. So would I like identify those two different communities, or yeah, I guess that's my question.
Yeah, you can identify those two communities. I think, I mean, I would list those communities. However, I would talk about the communities, right, that are, that maybe not able to afford, right? Like those would be your focus. And I would add something about how your model, right, where people can pay more is used to subsidize the people who
I feel like that was great advice.
right? And so I would focus
I
on
feel like you're gonna just follow along. And it doesn't stop, which is okay.
Okay. And then I guess I'm also like working with like organizations that work with these specific communities. So for example, I'm working with like local farms and gardens, and then they're working to support communities who are dealing with food insecurity. And so I guess would I also just like share that as like the community impact? Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah, because it's building relationships with organizations so that they can have even a larger impact over the
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Hi, by the way, Lucia. Thank you.
Can you include impact or your work that is not based on your artistic practice? Or does it have to be based on exactly what you're doing and as an artist?
I think that, hold on, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. I don't see why not, right? It's all about your narrative, right? And how you're able to present it. I, as an artist, I see community organizing as a way that I create, right? And that I engage and that I can put out new ideas. And so, it's a way of how you tell your story. Could you give me an example of what you're talking about?
Well, it looks like the social impact part is to talk about what you have already impacted and perhaps what you not what you're planning to. And that's how I understood it. And so if you for some who have not really have it started to have a concrete impact, but if you have done some other work such as in education, which is not artistic practice, or if you had a business in the community that you have supported the arts as arts patron, and so would those be part of your community impact, even though it is not from your artistic practice or current artistic practice?
Yeah.
So
just really quick, I think your social impact is not talking about the current social impact that you have right now. I think think of your grant as like, this is you're presenting your experiment, right, as a scientist, right? And you have all these theories about what your project and what this research can do, right? And that's the social impact. So you're telling them, because this is what I think I can do, and this is the type of impact that my project can have. And you can say, based on my other experience, right, on other projects that I've done and the other kinds of impacts that I have, that's how I know that this project can have that kind of impact. So you can definitely name your past experience as a way to tell the funders that you've had experience, right? But really this is a vision that you're presenting, right? This is something that you want to see through, and that you're it's an idea that you're pitching. And so yeah, that's what
So I came up with an idea real quick. Let me see if I can explain, if I can add to this conversation here. So this is, hold on. So this is us. This little thingy is us, okay? And we are embedded in an ecosystem, as Lucia is saying. This is all the people that is around us. We have people here, 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 here. All right, so our work radiates outwards, in waves. And other people are also influencing with their speech, with their ideas, with their projects. They're informing our work, right? We are getting inspired by our community. It might be geographical, it might be, you know, I mean, the biggest example that I can give you of this is the people that believe that the earth is flat, right? Flat earthers have been able to congregate as a big community because even though they are separated physically, they can find each other on the internet. And so in this case, this bubble represents the people who are just connected in that sense. So your work is radiating outside, right? Your social impact, these two things, these two components, community and social, are connected. Say that you impacted someone here, right? So you can say, oh, I met this person at one of the shows that I produced. They told me that they had realized something about their identity, and I strive to create similar experiences for other people in this community, right? So you can draw this line, and that is what we're going to be doing in our grant. We're going to be creating, like, figuring out, like, oh, this is a talk that I presented. This talk was then streamed on Meta's Facebook, right? So Meta put out this, and then this person wrote in the comments of Facebook, and then we connected. You can utilize this as a strategy. Map it out, and then bring it into your narrative. This is, you know, like last year I had an opportunity to produce a concert with Meta. In this concert, we had around 3,000 people, and one of these persons, reach out to me personally to talk about their experience, right? So in this, you're talking about organizations, you're talking about numbers, and you're talking about experiences, right? Now, community impact is going to be everything that you can name, everything that you can say, like, I collaborated with this organization, with this amount of artists, this is the audience that we had, right? Like all of these things. When you're talking about, oh, within this audience, their experience is that they become empowered to talk about their experience, right? This is social impact. This is how this is how the community is better off now that you have produced this work. Okay.
Yeah, I think the social impact has a lot to do with, like, you know, behavior changes, right? Did someone's behavior change because of that? You know, or norms, right? Like, are we kind of like shaking up some norms, right? Like social norms. Are we disrupting some of those things?
Exactly.
And yeah, it's not, this is what's called qualitative data, right? It's not going to be your community impact, is quantitative data, right? Like the how much, the what, how often, with who.
Mm-hmm.
But the social impact is qualitative data. Let me give you an example that I can think of. You know, our other dear friend and hermana, Nina, she's an artist, and she runs she's a collective. She runs a collective dance. Sorry, I'm thinking in Spanish. Baile colectivo, yeah, collective dance group with domestic workers, right? And with the women's collective, right? And this is a group the women's collective, whose purpose is to educate domestic workers on workers' rights, right? Create a network for them, create trainings, and as a result, have them be like more empowered and financially empowered through this network, right? But the service that Nina provides for the women's collective, is that she teaches dance classes, and she teaches guitar, and boys, they have a choir, right? And right now they're getting prepared to release a movie, a small film that they made together, They did a choreography, they did a film, and it's telling the story of domestic workers, right? And so who can you name who the community is in that project? Can we list who the community is? Who is the community stakeholders in that project? Someone besides Arturo.
Yeah, Arturo, you're on hold. You're on a hashtag break from the space.
I'm gonna go dance in the corner.
I would just take a guess, like all the other domestic workers. I mean,
yeah, definitely the domestic workers. Yes.
Their families.
Their families.
Okay.
Yeah.
And other people in the service industry.
Other people in the service industry. This is a women's collective and a day labor program as well. So it's also the domestic workers, day laborers. The organization, right? The women's collective is a stakeholder. Nina works with another choreographer and other artists, right? So that's another stakeholder. They wrote a song and they invited one of the artists to help them write a song, right? That's another stakeholder, right? You can argue that the businesses that they serve, right, that they clean is another stakeholder. That's part of the community. Now, what is the social impact of that project? Or like, let me give you this some context, right? Like within this song that they wrote, right? They talk about it's called Hogares Limpios, Trabajos Justos, right? Clean homes, just jobs, right? And they're singing about what that means. The film that they made, right? It's about telling the story of what it means to be the domestic worker, and they're gonna show it in this film. Right. And then they also have collective dance, which they come together and they do Zumba and they do all of this. So what is the social impact for that?
Well, for them, they have a community because house cleaning you usually do with one by yourself or with maybe one other person. So perhaps this is connecting them together.
But the social impact wouldn't be like somebody who's doing an honest job is getting paid a fair amount. That's what the social impact would be. Like these people will learn how to ask for a fair salary.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are two good social impacts. What else?
It shouldn't be this hard, right? To think about how they're impacted. I mean, how these women are.
I think you have it, and you just have to maybe express it. I think I see Julia.
Yeah, I think that another social impact of a performance piece is there's so many layers to the benefits of performing. So if they're doing a dance, then there's like the physical elements, like, okay, they're bettering their actual physical health, which helps everything and impacts the community in the way that they are able to show up and the way that they can continue to be an asset. And it's elevating with regard to their mood. So that, of course, changes everything as well. So there's that element. If they're writing an entire song, then there's an expressive element. We're talking metaphor. We're talking connecting different ideas. There's composition involved. We're using different parts of the brain. This can help like stop the long-term effects of like mental health degradation. We are impacting like confidence when it comes to performance and public speaking and presentation. Then there's like, yeah, just esteem in general, just affects every single thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's more, but that feels like the most effective piece of what it is to be an artist is that like we are multidisciplinary creatives regardless of what our actual platform and like expression is, because we have to combine a lot of different things in order to get it out into the world from the seed of an idea.
Yeah, definitely. I heard, mental health, confidence, right? Like, public, soft skills like public speaking, right? And presenting, that is absolutely a social impact. I see.
Kaya, you had something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say that a part of like the social impact of any project is like when I personally exhibit my work that's like very rooted in African culture, and I present that in a space that's like typically like white and westernized, like that in a like just showing up has its own social impact, and just being who you are and being true to what it is and not trying to like assimilate, that's like its own social impact. And I feel like pretty much everyone in the class has like something to, cultural visibility, like something to offer just by like by showing up and being who they are. And I think that's beautiful.
One important thing, like super extra points for those of you who are doing this with a pedagogic lens of teaching people, because this program particularly is focusing on giving a space for these women to come up on stage, on the microphone, to talk, right? And then they become advocates for their causes, for just jobs, right? For fair wages, for all of these things. And then they through the arts, they're empowering their leadership development, right? To change things, to change things at the root. Not just, like we're not just parading here and like making people feel nice. No, we're actually empowering folks to go and represent themselves and their interests in a political arena. And then this is social impact, right?
Yeah, and that's actually the biggest social impact that we've seen from that project, right? That these women are now advocates, they're now community leaders, they're out there saying pass legislation, SB, whatever, right? And do this, they can talk to you about legislation, and that all of that they've learned through songs and like learning information in a culturally competent way, right? And I want to say something about cultural visibility. I would argue that cultural visibility is your community impact. That is what you're doing. That is not your better off. Your better off is, what does cultural visibility mean, right? When someone, just like an example, right? A girl or a child, right, that sees that, right, and sees you in their neighborhood offering a class, right, and saying, oh wow, someone looks like me, they're doing this, they're doing that. What that girl can do with that, right, seeing you, that's your social impact, right? Because visibility is just what you're doing. That's not the better off. The better off is that you're changing people's perspectives, or you're almost like inspiring, right? Like when we talk about equity framework, right? What's so important about visibility and representation, right, is what inspires other people to do, right? Or the younger generations to do. And that's your social impact, right? What it inspires people to do. Not that they see you, but what comes after they see you.
Okay, I think we're gonna start wrapping up, but do we have any last questions? Is this clear? Alex?
I don't know if we have time for this, but I work in the underground communities. Do I mention that? Do I mention that it's underground? And does that have like a you know, could that be frowned upon? Is there a kosher way to talk about it?
If I may, I shared the other day a reflection with Adrian about holding space for others, right? So the way that I try to explain it is, imagine that you're going to the movies, right? The movie theater, and your two friends are coming. So you pick a seat, put your jacket on one seat next to you and your bag on the other one, right? And so for whatever reason, they're late. And we know that the reason is that, systemic racism and lack of resources and all of these things, right? But they're late. And the theater starts filling up, and then somebody comes and tries to take the seat right here, and you're like, no, excuse me, I'm holding this for my friend who's coming, right? And then someone else tries to take this seat, and you're like, no, I'm sorry, I'm sure they're coming. And you are sure that they're coming, right? Like, that's why you're holding their space. So eventually, after a lot of turmoil, they arrive late, but when they come, you're holding, you have their seats for the movie, and you guys end up watching the movie together, and it works perfectly, right? And so a lot of times, particularly with us as people of color, as coming from underserved communities, when we access these places of a seat at the table, really what we're doing is we're trying to hold space for others to come and sit next to us. Yeah. Right. And so that has a lot of value in itself, because if you stand up and walk out of the room because you're tired of waiting for them and you cannot hold space for them anymore, but then they arrive and nobody is inside, and then nobody can watch the movie, right? So in the case of
tell the story as to why communities are underground, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, highlighting why they're even underground in the first place, because of something, right? Like the social norms aren't allowing, right, that underground group to be in mainstream, right? And telling that story, right, as to why, and that's the social impact, right, that we're trying to make someone that's underground come to the forefront, right? And like Arturo said, and have a seat at that table, right, that they haven't traditionally. Why? Because they're underground.
Yeah. And particularly in a couple of your grants, particularly, right? Like when you are a pioneer in a specific area, in a specific place, you are doing the work of representation and trying to bring people into the space, right? For people, particularly for people who work in the fine arts world, Adrian, Kaya, right? Like people who are trying to access those spaces that are historically have been denied to people like us. We're trying to create a little bubble where we can bring people in, right? When we can create a community within. Thank you, Lucia. Thank you so much. Mana, gracias, from all of my heart, really. Un aplauso para Lucia, por favor. Jess hands, everybody. Thank you so much for being part of the Arts Collab Familia. And yeah, we're gonna let you go because we're gonna wrap up the session, which is almost at the end of it. But I'm just really happy that we got the opportunity. Therese, do you have any last thoughts, any last comments on Lucia's participation?
Yeah, just really thank you so much. And is there any way that people can contact you if they want to possibly hire you for some coaching around their narrative?
Absolutely. This is my personal email. I just dropped it, and you can definitely contact me, and I can, schedule some time to help and work through some of that stuff if there's an interest, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad that it was helpful.
Thank you so much for being here.
You folks can catch us next week. We're going to be performing at that event that Lucia was mentioning. We're going to be performing one of the songs that these domestic workers wrote, and we're learning it, and it's so powerful. Like
they're allowing us to perform it for them.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really awesome. Yeah. So good luck with everything. Good luck with your grant writing. It's a big job, but totally worth it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I will put Lucia's info in the post game. I have a couple of administrative notes before we say goodbye. I put in the chat a link to the vault, which is where we are listing where we're at with our grants. So please update that while add your email there if you're open to people contacting you in the far right hand corner of the vault. There's a space for emails, and we'll mention it again next week, but definitely if you could add where you are with your grant. We're at 2:30, but I would love to talk about the homework, and just because we only have one more week together, give people a chance to just say what they've gotten out of it so far. So thank you so much for being here, and I'm so excited we have one more week. So before we go into what we've gotten out of it, Arturo, you want to talk about the homework?
Absolutely. Bueno, pues as you, I hope that you have clarity on both community impact and social impact. Would love for you work on that. I know that some of you have already started working on it. I really hope that this content that we provided for you today was going to make it clear and easy for you to go in and be like, okay, let me just make this happen. So the one question that I want to ask right now, you know, like this is part of what we have as your homework: secure your letter of support, review your narrative, and please have fun, because we, you know, this is important, guys. When you're doing work that you know, like that you get paid for, but you're not necessarily in love with, it always feels like such a drag, right? It always feels like, oh my God, I have to wake up early again and go to these bullshit meetings and all of that. But this is the things that we are wanting to, like that we're doing, that we're investing our time in doing because we care, because this is our calling, right? So even with the annoyance of writing a grant and the time that you have to dedicate, and like sometimes like grinding your brain to come up with, you know, a strong narrative and all of these things, try to think that the purpose of this is something greater and something that will really bring a lot of joy into your life. So in that sense, try to enjoy it, right? Have fun. And before you know, before we go, I would just like to ask, how are you? If any one of you is having issues with securing your letter of support, because you know, all the narrative, everything that we're writing down, because we are doing it ourselves in our time, in our devices, we have control over that. But the thing that we do not have that much control over is the letter of support. So is anybody having issues with your letter of support that we can talk about and focus on? Kaya.
Yeah, I'm not really sure who to ask for a support letter, because I haven't really collaborated with too many people. I have like two people in mind. One of them is somebody who I worked with at Mars, because I would do the window displays. So I would do like really funny window displays of like funny clothes and dress up mannequins in freaky ways. But I just don't know who to really talk to about this support letter.
Let's talk about that. If you guys you can leave if you have something to do. We're gonna just stay here. If you have any questions right now, what I would really love before you leave today is that you have clarity on the dates of the vault. Hold on, let me bring it up. Let me bring that up real quick before we go into Kaya's into answering this. I'd like for you to, like, this is the document that we're talking about, okay? I would love for you to have clarity on, and please update the things that you already completed are here. Like you can just come and say,
you know, that document's in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you. You can come here, just fill it up. And Kaya, and everybody, the better person to get your support letter from is a person that you could potentially touch upon in the answer of community impact, right? Particularly Kaya, you can say, I have collaborated with this artist, with this collective in this gallery. Then you bring a letter of support from the curator of the gallery, or the person that put the show together, or like something that is involved with that part of your narrative. If you are saying, Shona has a great example, like my work focuses on the exploration of my identity, my roots, my cultural roots, etc. And then she has an organization that is doing residencies in China to write her a support letter, right? So that speaks to a degree of the work that she is doing. So anything that is connected to your practice, to the things that you have done before, works. Extra points go to people, organizations, and artists that are more rooted in the community, right? If you can pick between, say, a business owner or a community organizer, go with the community organizer, because this is more rooted in the community, right?
Okay, I think maybe I will ask the person who I did the skateboard collaboration with.
All right.
Because those proceeds go to a charity.
Oh, amazing. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Just make sure that, so last recommendation, remember that you can very easily say, listen, I can write some pointers for you. Or as much as to say, let me write it for you. I can send it for you to review. If you have any changes, you can change. If not, you can just sign it.
Okay. Does it have to be a certain length?
No, it doesn't have to be any specific length. You can say, I just support Kaya in her application for the Individual Arts Fellowship. I've known her through this project, and I know that she is a person with strong ethics and a lot of talent.
Okay. The other thing is, like, so this skateboard collaboration I did, the proceeds go to my cousin's daycare, which is like a 24-hour daycare, which takes care of inner city Black kids that are lower income. And so like any hour of any day, like you can drop your kids off there. So maybe would I ask my cousin who runs the daycare, or do I ask the person who organized the skateboard collaboration?
I think that both of them work. Teresa, you have an idea?
I think this was a conversation for your coaching session.
Okay.
Okay, for sure.
Okay, I think that both of them work.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else? Questions on your? Yeah, please, Julian.
I have a question too.
Julian, then Kelly.
Okay. This is not exactly related to my grant, but it is related to be a sovereign artist living in the world as it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for recommendations for CPAs, tax specialists. So if anybody has somebody who works with independent contractors, artists, people who work for themselves specifically, I am looking for someone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I can send you a recommendation. Yeah, I can send you a recommendation. I probably will send it in the post-game email.
That would be awesome. I will take multiple recommendations at this point because we're getting close to the time. So that would be super helpful. Thanks so
and
much,
also,
everybody.
if you haven't done your 2019 taxes, you're not getting your stimulus check. So get on that right now. I need to get on that too, but do it. Kelly.
I guess I'm debating whether getting my letter of support from a past organization that I have worked with, but I haven't really worked with in the past like 2 to 3 years, or someone I want to start to work with who I have worked with kind of in the 2 to 3 years, but not specifically like this new program I'm bringing out.
Which one of them has better, which one of them would you say has better roots in the community?
Oh, it's older, Poder. It's between Poder or Mission Meals. So I guess Poder.
Poder.
Yeah, okay. I'm also like, I feel like they're just so swamped all the time, but I guess I'll try and just be like, hey, I'll write it up, some of it.
Please.
Okay.
Just
okay,
really, and trust me, this is nothing, you know, too weird. Like I get asked for recommendation letters, particularly for the people who participated in the diaspora and they want to prove that they were part of the project, etc. I always say, look, I have a template that I can just put your name on and send it to you, or you can write your own letter, send it to me, and I'll sign it. You know, it makes, you know, if people have worked with you and they trust in you and the work that you're doing, they will not have a problem in supporting you. This is part of becoming a more rounded, more a stronger, better artist. So people, again, this is how, in moments like this is when we realize how much support we actually get. If you have a family member, if you have something, look, inequity exists because people who's well connected go to their good connections all the time and they get what they need from them. So if you have a connection that you can actually tap into and get a good recommendation letter, do it. Do it. This money, these funds are needed in our communities. So I don't have a problem. And I acknowledge, right? Like maybe we're being a little bendy here, but you know, I don't care. Like the truth is that our communities have been neglected for so long that it's time for us to take action and bring these resources to our community. So, you know, as long, I mean, we're not trying to kid anybody here. We're not trying to keep this money for our own expenses. We're actually trying to give it back to the community. So if you have the opportunity to get a recommendation from a super important community-based organizer, go ahead and do it. Ask for their recommendation.
Okay, sweet. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Just one last thing. I thought, I didn't know this, but Therese pointed out, in the vault, in the very last column, it's a place you can put emails in. So I would love that we have a way to connect with each other. You know, even after this wonderful cohort, you know, it's done. So sharing synergy or sharing ideas, and I think we make us all better artists. And so yeah, I had no idea there was a place for it.
Absolutely.
I just added it based on your